Today I'm going to be talking about homesteading and how you can get started in your homestead journey. Hey everybody, welcome back to Velvet Roads Homestead. I'm so excited that you are joining me here today. I would like to start off by saying I'm so very excited about this channel. I'm so very grateful that you're even watching right now. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Today I would like to talk about 5 different ways to start homesteading even before you have your piece of property or your land. The first thing is definitely not the least. I find it to be the most valuable thing that you can do to start homesteading even before you have property or land. I would say it is a heart of gratitude. Gratitude is different than thankfulness. When you look at the definitions of thankfulness and gratitude, being thankful comes with like a sigh of relief of like, oh, thank goodness, or I'm so thankful that happened, or it's all about kind of circumstantial things, right? To where you're like relieved that you have these things, or you're relieved that you feel this way. Gratitude, on the other hand, is a choice. I will choose gratitude in this moment, whether or not my circumstances are bringing relief or ease or comfort. So I would say the first step in homesteading is a heart of gratitude. Gratitude for where you're at, just a sense of rootedness, I guess. So gratitude is very important when you're starting your homestead journey, because if you're like me, you don't have land yet. You don't have your dream acreage or, all of the things that you would think that a homesteader might have, like cattle or, sheep or whatever your ideal thought or picture would look like for a homesteader. Maybe you're not there yet, but you can choose to be grateful for what you do have in the moment and steward those things well. So for me to start the journey of homesteading, I had to choose to be grateful for where I'm at now. I say that is the beginning set point for me as a homesteader, a homemaker, a wife, a mom, is a place of gratitude, because my circumstances may not look like a homesteader, but I will have those things that I aspire to someday and at some point. And so at this point, I'm going to be grateful for what I have, and I'm going to steward what I have well, so that when I do get those things, the land, the animals, the ... I will know how to take on more. I know it's very biblical, but it's just also principally true that if you cannot handle a little amount of something, then you're never going to be able to handle or manage a large amount of something. So I think step 1 for me as beginning a homesteading journey is to be full of gratitude. Make that be a daily choice, being grateful for what you have and where you're at in your life. So I joke with my husband all the time because he kind of gets frustrated. I don't think he grew up, I know that he didn't grow up the same way as I did, but I actually sent him a reel the other day of an ingredient household versus a snack household and the difference in mindset. Oh, we run into that quite often. But I would say learning how to be an ingredient household, an ingredient homemaker, is step number 2 in being a homesteader. If you're wanting to grow your own food in any shape, size, or form, then you need to know how to cook with that said food. And I think that is the number 2 thing to do. Trying to be a homesteader is cooking with ingredients rather than pre-packaged foods. Now, if you're new to cooking at all, then I would say start where you can and do what you can with what you have in your knowledge bank and your skill set, but don't stay there. So I'll buy the ingredients. So I'll sometimes say this last year I didn't can any tomatoes. I will buy canned tomatoes. That's an ingredient though. So with those canned tomatoes, you can make pasta sauce, you can make chili, you can make enchilada sauce, you can make a whole plethora of things. When you get used to cooking everything at home, you're used to using different ingredients. So number one, do you have the basics on hand? Beans, rice, butter, you gotta have butter, spices, meats, like all of those things, different ingredients that you would make one meal with. You stock the basics, and I can make another video about this too because I do keep an ingredient pantry, but stock the basics and learn how to cook with the basics. That way when you do get your land, your property, your cows, your chickens, whatever, you'll know how to cook with that said ingredient. You'll know how to use the 500 pounds of tomatoes that you planted that year. So number two, learn how to cook at home. You ready for number three? Okay, number three way to start homesteading is to learn how to garden. Whoa, before you're like, well, I don't have the space, I don't have the time, I don't have the big acreage yet. How can I garden? Okay, well, let's start with like the basics. First of all, there's lots of different ways that you can grow food. You don't need an acre of just spare space to be able to throw a bunch of beds in and plant a bunch of food, right? Start as small as you need to. Start with just like one little pot of aloe vera in your window, try to get that down, use that for like burns and cuts and scrapes and stuff like that, and then maybe expand, maybe have a pot of basil on your window, or keep some stuff on your windowsill and then expand from there once you get the hang of that. It doesn't have to be like super extravagant, super expansive. If you have space in your yard, experiment, see what you can do, start maybe 1 to 2 beds, or just do those like fabric growing containers. Heck, I even went to Tractor Supply a couple years ago and got those like galvanized steel fire pit ring type things that are supposed to be for fire pits. I got 2 of those and used those for for vegetable garden and flower beds. So just be creative, start researching, start just trying things out, kind of getting the hang of what you like, what you don't like. I mean, I have my garden in my front yard. It's not anything like super attractive, but it's functional. I mean, I was able to grow a ton of potatoes in it last year. I grew all my own garlic in it. I grow medicinal flowers. I grow tons of different items that we use throughout the year. Does it produce all of my vegetables that we can use for the whole year that I can up? No. Am I learning? Absolutely. So I really do think it is valuable for you to start and learn how to garden. So number 3 in homesteading is to start growing your own food. Start gardening so that you know what you like, what you don't like. That way when you do get your property, when you do get your land, or maybe you don't want land, maybe you just want to know how to urban homestead, kind of like what I've been doing the last couple years. Grow your own food. Grow that tomato plant. Try those new types of cucumbers. Try starting your seeds inside and see how it goes. But number 3 way to start homesteading is start your garden. Number 4 way to start your homesteading journey is one that I so very much enjoy. I actually enjoy a lot of them, but it's actually fun for me, and I feel like I can get a little bit more creative than some of the other ones. So number 4 would be to invest in canners and learn how to can. Or preserve food. Okay? Anybody can do this, no matter if you have property or if you rent a room with somebody, you can learn how to preserve food. It's awesome. Preserving food is awesome. I would recommend starting with water bath canning. You can do jellies, you can do jams, you can do fruits, like high acid fruits like peaches, and you could do salsa, you could do tomatoes if you wanted to, but I would recommend learning how to preserve food by canning. And so with water bath canning, you can't do all of the things, but you can certainly do easier things like pickles, the things that you kind of spend a lot at the store to buy. You can actually make those things at home. I don't know the last time that I went to like Fred Meyer and bought jam or jelly. Now that I think about it, that's like a big accomplishment for me. I don't know how many years it's been since I have bought jelly or jam. Yay! That's so cool. Just to think about that. I haven't thought about that actually. So learning how to preserve your own food is pretty simple, especially during the summer when there's like an abundance of fruits and vegetables at your disposal, whether it's through local farmers, the grocery store sales, whether you are growing it yourself. So my dad has a ton of apple trees at his house. And so I used to go pick apples there all the time to make a ton of applesauce when the kids were little. I would like can up like 52 quarts of applesauce. I would also dry apples. I would make apple butter. I would make pear butter. I still love making pear butter. It's like one of my favorite things to do every year. But I would say learning how to can is going to be invaluable to becoming a homesteader. Okay, so with pressure canning specifically, I've moved on to canning specific ingredients that I know that I will use for different purposes. For example, I like to can chicken. I like to can bone broth, turkey broth. After Thanksgiving, you just throw the carcass right in the thing, can up all that stock, and then you don't have to buy chicken stock or turkey stock or whatever kind of bone broth that you would normally buy for your recipes because you have it on hand. Or I also like to can all the different types of beans that I'll use. So I used to buy canned beans at the store so often, and they're not super expensive, but you know what's less expensive than canned beans? Dried beans. And dried beans are so easy to can yourself. It's basically like getting them all soaked and prepared. You just dump them in. It's like you can just open and go. And so learning how to water bath can and pressure can is going to bring so much value to your home, especially if you're trying to be a homesteader. Number 5 way to become a homesteader before you have your land. Build community. Find a friend, bring them in alongside you. Find another friend, bring them in alongside of you. Find a family, find a kid. Maybe it's your own. No, community is so important. The whole thing about like self-reliance, I don't want to hear about it. Community, stability, great. Like, let's help each other out. Someone who has been gardening for 10, 15 years knows way more than me starting out doing a front yard garden for the last few. I think it's so very, very important and so very, very underestimated the value that family or community can bring to enrich somebody's life. And especially if you're starting on skills that are new to you, I think that it's so very valuable to bring people in that know so much more than you. So like when I first started growing tomatoes, one of my friends has been doing it for years, and she'll like get all of the like really, really awesome varieties just for fun, just to grow them out. So when I first started growing tomatoes, I would grab starts from her and be like, hey, so what do I do this? And like, I'll pick her ear on like how to do certain things and how her garden has been so successful. I want to know so that I don't make the same mistakes that she did. But all of her wisdom, I want to take and glean from it what I can. And so I think it's so very important as homesteaders or as homemakers, even people who are just trying to live simply, that you pull people in so that you're not alone. You know, find other moms that like to cook at home. Maybe you can have, like, I've done this before, grab a group of moms and do like a freezer meal exchange where you all make different freezer meals and then you just swap them so that you each end up with different freezer meals. That is a fun way to incorporate friends into making food at home. There's so many different ways to include other people in your journey, to give encouragement, but to also receive encouragement. Just make sure that you're bringing people alongside you, because it's, first of all, it's more fun when you're not alone and when you have other people to like even laugh at the mistakes that you make or join in the sorrows of your failure, like, because failure is part of the journey, you know. But also you gain wisdom and you gain knowledge from bringing people into your life that have already been where you're going. And so I would just encourage you, number 5 to being a homesteader is to find community and bring people into the journey that you're starting. Thank you so much for listening to the top 5 ways that I think that you can become a homesteader before you have property. I hope you gained some courage from what I shared with you today so that you can start doing the things and learning the things and just go for it. I double dog dare you. Leave it in the comments, the ones that stuck out to you the most, the ones that maybe you haven't tried yet that you're going to try in this next year.